Hey everyone, today we're going to do a fraction problem, working it out style. All right, and if you've seen any of my Working It Out videos before, then you know that I like to tackle a word problem, read through it more than once, really show you what goes through my head when I'm solving a word problem. So let's get started. This problem says, and before I start, I like to read through it once and not really solve the problem yet, just to understand what's going on in the problem. So here we go. Sixto tells his partner that he can find an equivalent fraction by multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. He finds a fraction equivalent to 1/4. Which fraction did Sixto find? So before I even look at the answer choices, I'm just thinking about what is this problem all about? So I see that we're thinking about equivalent fractions. That's going to be important. So equivalent, I kind of think about how it sounds like equal in the beginning of the word. So we're going to be looking for fractions that take up the same space, I bet. And then it's talking about if I multiply the numerator or the top number and the denominator, the bottom number, by the same number. So I'm probably going to practice with that once I get my whiteboard out. And then he finds a fraction equivalent to 1/4. So he found one, and it sounds like we're going to be trying to figure out which one he found. So now I feel like I understand the problem quite a bit. I'm ready to read it once more and highlight some important things that I feel like will help me once I start solving it. So let's read it again. Sixto tells his partner that he can find an equivalent fraction. Ooh, I'm going to pause there. I want to highlight equivalent so I remember what we're doing here. By multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. Okay, so that sounds like a strategy I could use with this problem. So I'm going to highlight that too. Multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. That sounds like a great strategy. He finds a fraction equivalent to 1/4. Ooh, and that's a little sneaky. I noticed that they put 1/4 in words, so it could be easy to miss that. I definitely want to highlight that. And then later on, I'll write it in numbers too. Which fraction did Sixto find? Okay, now let's read the answer choices. We have A is 2/8, B is 2/5, C is 4/12, and D is 1/8. Okay, it's kind of hard to tell if there's one that stands out as the answer so far. Because sometimes with fractions, you really have to put them next to each other and work with them before you can make a decision. So I don't even see one that stands out to me yet. So let's move over to the whiteboard and start working this out. All right, now that I'm over at my whiteboard, I like to write 1/4, not just in words like in the word problem, but with numbers so that we can really see it. And then I'm going to just one by one take my answer choices and put it next to 1/4 to see if they are equal. And I'm going to use the strategy mentioned in the problem, right? If we multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, we're going to get an equivalent fraction. So let's try it here. 1 times what equals 2? You got it. Times 2. So let's do the same thing to the bottom. What is 4 times 2? All right, it's 8. I think this first choice is probably going to be our answer, but let's check the rest just to be safe. Okay, so I'm going to do this next one. And even if it's wrong, it will help us kind of be thinking about how patterns always work out with equivalent fractions, but not when it's not equivalent. So let's check this one. 1 times 2 again is 2. And oh, look down here. 4 times 2 is not 5. So that one does not work. Okay, let's try the next one. The next one looks good because 12 sounds like a multiple of 4. So I'm kind of thinking that one sounds good. Let's check that one. 1 times what equals 4? Good, 1 times 4. And then 4 times 4. Oh man, 12 is a 4 fact, but 4 times 4 is 16. So that one could have tricked people into thinking that's the right answer because it sounds pretty good, but it doesn't quite work out. Okay, then let's check the last one. 1/4 equals 1/8. Oh, and you know what? I already noticed something that's a little bit off about this. When the numerators are the same, like these are both unit fractions, they both have a 1 on the top, and then we change the denominators, which one is, they can't be equal. Which one is smaller? Oh, you're right. The one with the bigger denominator, that means there's more pieces that are smaller. So 1/8 is smaller than 1/4. So I can already tell, even without checking with a pattern, that this fraction is too small. All right, so which answer are we going with? You got it, A. Great job.